Hello and welcome back to Get Up and Game, where we like to start every day off right with a game on the table. My name is Josh, and today the game on my table is Maiden's Quest by Wizkids. This was a 2018 solo game released at Gen Con. I picked it up at Gen Con that year, and I quite enjoyed it for a little while. And then I didn't play it for a long time, and just recently over the holiday season, I randomly got in the mood to play this game again, so I got it out, had a really good time, and decided I wanted to make a video just kind of showing it off. Now, this game didn't exactly take off. I don't think it was in print for very long, so part of me is kind of hesitant to make this video because if it does look fun or interesting to you, it is kind of hard to track down. I did a quick look around online, and there's a few copies floating around out there if you really want it. So apologies for showing a game that's going to be hard to get, but I just kind of wanted to have some fun with it. The hook of this game is that it's a solo game that you're really meant to be able to play without even needing a table. You just hold the whole game in your hand the whole time once you've constructed your deck of cards. It's a card game, like kind of a hand management risk-reward kind of game. But it was really sold as if it were portable. You could take this game and play it around in conventions. You could play it around in line at the theater. And that was such a part of the game's design that it's actually possible that if you're playing this game and someone else happens to also be playing this game in the same area you're in, you can sync up and play cooperatively with the other person. Now, sadly, I've never bumped into anybody playing Maiden's Quest, nor have I ever played this anywhere but at home, but it was a really neat idea. So let me quickly show you how to set it up. So here we see all the cards for Maiden's Quest. The theme of the game is that you are playing as a maiden who has been captured by a captor, and you are locked in a tower, and you are trying to rescue yourself. You don't need anybody else to come save you. You're perfectly capable of doing that on your own. And so what we need to do is build a deck, and then you just play the whole game by holding a deck in your hand. The way we do that is you pick one of the maidens. There are 8 available in the game, and I've decided I want to play with Gwendolyn here. So you take your maiden card and you look at this white double arrow symbol here is telling you to flip it over. There's going to be information on the back. And this tells us how to construct the maiden portion of the deck. You build the maiden part of the deck, the captor part of the deck, and then you smoosh them together, and that's your deck that you play with. So this tells us that we need a starting health of untapped rage times 2 and 6 random. And there is this stack of health cards, and they all have names, and the flavor of this game is really good. The names of the cards are interesting. The flavor text is well done. There's a lot of humor here. It really does make me sad that this game didn't take off, at least as far as I know it didn't. So she has 2 copies of Untapped Rage, which I already set on top, so we're going to add those to her deck, and then it just says 6 random. So every time you play, there's a ton of variability in how your deck is constructed. And so we're just going to pick the top 6 here, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's her health. So we'll set that there for now. Then some of the maidens have an heirloom. There's a giant stack of these items here. And again, everything has names and cool flavor text. And her heirloom is the longsword. So she always starts with this card. It isn't that it's particularly more powerful than any of the other cards. It's just, I think, more thematic that she would have a longsword, so she gets that. And then it says she gets 14 other random items. And really quickly, let me just show you the thing that makes this game interesting is you see how the card is sort of divided. And then what's going to happen is over the course of the game, you're either going to upgrade cards by rotating them up, or downgrade cards by rotating them down, flipping them over, and possibly rotating them again to the point where they're considered gone. And so every card has 4 levels, and they basically all start on level 3. And over the course of the game, they're going to be rotating up and down. It's really fun. You're upgrading your deck. It kind of feels like a deck builder in some ways, the way you're improving as you play. And there's a pretty satisfying arc as the deck starts out. Not weak, really, because like I said, everything starts on level 3, but it definitely can feel stronger if it's going well, and you can feel it getting weaker if it's not. She gets 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we'll add those to her longsword and her health. So that is everything except for, it also says you get 1 dress of your choice. And there is a stack of dresses here, and they're all very powerful. The unicorn symbol is a wild. You're basically going to be matching symbols in this game. And so the unicorns are very powerful. It says you get to choose. Often I will take random, but I'm going to take the evening attire here because this +2 means I'm going to get to have 2 more cards in my hand. And if you know anything about how I like to play Marvel Champions, I'm all about drawing cards. So we're going to add the evening attire, and that is going to complete Gwendolyn set up here. So that is her half of the deck. All right, now that we're done constructing our Maiden side of the deck, we take a look at the captors. There are quite a few of these to defeat, and they sort of range from level 2, which is sort of the difficulty, to 3, and then there's a couple 4s. So you've got a lot of replayability trying to fight all these different ones. I'm gonna try King Shawl. I don't remember if I've played him because I played this a lot like 4 years ago, and I haven't played it for a long time other than the other day, and I picked the easiest one and beat the heck out of them. So I'm gonna do something a little bit harder this time. So same thing here, you flip it over and it tells you how to construct the captor portion of the deck. He tells me there's gonna be 14 obstacles, and then there are 4 levels of obstacles. There are 2 treasures and 4 saviors. So we've got our big old stack of obstacles here. I just need 1 of the level 0s. So I'll just quickly shuffle and grab one off the top. We need 6 level 1s. See, there are quite a few. Gonna grab 6 of these. 6. We need 4 level 2s. Grab 2 of those, and 1 level 4, and 2 level 3s. So one thing that's neat is the difficulty of the villain is not just how hard that villain is to defeat, but the construction of the deck. It really ranges. Like this one has a level 4, not all have level 4s. So that level 4 is probably going to be pretty nasty. And then, so that is our obstacles. We need 2 treasures. So the game has 5 treasures unlocked from the beginning. So we're gonna grab 2 of those and put them in our pile. But it actually came with a whole bunch of other ones that you had to meet certain requirements in order to unlock. Like if you meet people playing the game, you get them to sign this card. If you get 5 signatures, then you get to include this in your normal game. Like, that's pretty neat. And some require you to defeat so many villains, things like that. So it was a pretty well put together game. I don't know how many other people bought it besides me. Now, the last card is there are these saviors, and this deck requires 4 of them. These are basically people who have come to rescue you that you didn't ask for their help. So they're sort of wandering around in the tower. Sometimes they're helpful, and they can be upgraded. They start out as the left behind, and if you upgrade them, they become saved. And they become more powerful in some ways, but they become a hindrance in others. So kind of just a funny theme there. And we're supposed to put 4 of them in this deck, which I feel like is quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we have our villain, and the captor also has a special ability that we'll worry about when the time comes. And so we just take all of these cards. I'm gonna shuffle them all together, and then that will be the deck that we use to play. All right, I think we're just about shuffled here. You definitely want to get it very well shuffled. And of course, because the cards are rotated and flipped and such, you definitely need to be careful to keep them in the same orientation as you're shuffling them, which is incredibly difficult for me. I'm not very good at shuffling. I drop cards all the time and flip them and blah, blah, blah. So I got to be careful here. See? All right, I'm giving it one more shuffle and I'm done. Okay, and then the last thing you need to do is there are these rest cards, and this tells you what level you're on. So we start at level 1, and that's basically 1 pass through the deck, and this will be at the bottom of the deck. And then when we get to here, we're gonna rotate it. We'll be on 2A, 2B, we'll go to 3, 3A, 3B, 3C, and then 4. And the higher your level goes is the more difficult the enemies will be. It's kind of like Threat and Lord of the Rings. The more threat you have, the more stuff you have to deal with. It's kind of like that if you play the LTR LCG. All right, so we are ready to play. We've got this deck of cards. I gotta be careful not to look ahead. And now, again, the idea is I just take this with me anywhere I go, and I can play a few rounds of Maiden's Quest wherever I feel like it. So that is a pretty neat idea. And now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start flipping cards. The game calls it cellaring, as in you're sending them to the cellar. And basically you're just flipping them to the back of the deck, and you're just looking for any card that you can encounter. So basically right now I'm just cycling through my items. So here we have the captor, and we could choose to encounter the captor you can encounter your Maiden, obstacles, and the captor. Everything else you just kind of keep skimming past. He's level 3 and I'm level 1. The rest card at the back tells me I'm level 1. So I don't have to encounter him if I don't want to. And I really probably shouldn't, because I'm sure I have no hope of defeating him. And if I attempt to fight him and fail, I'll suffer 2 damage and 2 downgrades. This game is very heavily symbol driven. Thankfully, there is a player aid that kind of helps with that. The rulebook for this game was pretty awful. And I remember asking a lot of questions on BGG when this game was new. Thankfully, they did upload a revised rulebook, which made getting back into this game recently a lot easier. So that was nice and definitely cleared up a few things. It's actually pretty simple, but the way the rulebook was laid out made it seem a lot harder than it was. Either way, I do not want to encounter him, and because I'm not level 3, I don't have to. So he's just going to get cellared, go right to the back. There's my address. It's too bad. I definitely didn't want to see that yet. And okay, so here we have encountered my Maiden. So now I could actually have an encounter, and there's no reason not to because your Maiden's really good. So when you have an encounter, the way it works, and I know I'm supposed to hold this in my hand, but I'm just going to set it down, is you basically pick up, you have whatever you're encountering, and then the next 5 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're really not supposed to see what's beyond the next card, but it's not really that big of a deal. And so like if I were holding this in my hand, I would just kind of have the whole deck, and then these 5 cards fanned out. This is called your fan. And if I were fighting a monster, I would be looking for the symbols to determine if I could defeat it. But when you encounter your Maiden, this green arrow symbol right here means I get to upgrade 1 card, and then the symbol underneath tells me the type of card I can upgrade. So in this case, Gwendolyn always upgrades any cards with sword icons. So I could upgrade the candlestick here to the flame dagger, or the long sword to the vorpal blade. And you're always allowed to kind of see what they would turn into. Like here, the candlestick would change into from a sword into a sword, and that's the magic symbol. And most of these symbols in and of themselves don't do anything. They're just, the obstacles are looking you to match certain symbols. So you might be fighting people who have a lot of magic that they need, or swords. And some require any combination of symbols. You just need a lot of them. So, and if you were like, a super competitive hardcore Maiden's Quest player, you would definitely want to be very aware, because you saw me put the deck together. I was allowed to look at everything I put in the deck. So I would want to be very aware of all the symbols that I have access to, the symbols that are on the monsters, and particularly the symbols on the captor, because I would really want to be upgrading my deck in that direction. If I do need a lot of swords or a lot of magic, I would want to make sure I was upgrading the cards that's going to give me more of those symbols. I am not a hardcore Maiden's Quest player. I just have enjoyed my time with it casually. So I have no idea what King Shaw is going to need to defeat him. So we're encountering Gwendolyn. This also tells us we can turn over, and she has a special ability, but that's when we're fighting. So we're not going to worry about that for now. And so I'm just going to pick one of these cards and upgrade it. And I think we'll just go ahead and make the longsword, which is her heirloom. I feel like she would just want to upgrade that immediately. So we're just going to rotate that up. Now it becomes the vorpal blade. Tuck that back in. And then once you're done with an encounter, whether it was with a monster or your Maiden, you just tuck everything back together. It gets cellared to the back, and then you just keep on going. So the next thing we see, this very smug looking evil knight. He's level 3, so we can choose to ignore him, and I'm definitely going to. All right, there's a savior. We can ignore that. Okay, now here's something we can encounter if we want to. It's a level 1 skeleton. So since this is the same level as us, we have to encounter it, but we have a choice to make. We could either try to fight the skeleton, or we could try to flee. We could run away from it. Either way, we're going to fan out the next 5 cards. If we choose to fight it, we're going to be looking for swords and suns, which is, the sun is piety. So we're going to be looking for melee and piety symbols, and we need any 3. As long as we have those, we'll defeat the skeleton and we'll flip it over and we'll get some kind of reward. If we fail, we're going to take a damage, and we might see how that works. But I could also choose to flee from it, saying I don't think I'm going to have these symbols, so I'm not even going to try. I would still have to fan out the next 5 cards, and then you automatically have to downgrade one of your cards, unless one of them happens to have the haste symbol, this wing here. If you've got those in your deck, then you might feel safe to try running away from the encounters you don't want to fight, because if you have one of those wing symbols, then you don't suffer the downgrade for fleeing. But I feel like we can handle a skeleton. 3 symbols doesn't sound that hard. So we just take the skeleton, and then we fan out the next 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can always see the next card. It's called Down the Hall. And so it's not looking real good, actually, unfortunately. You can see here we have 1 sword and 1 sun. He needs 3. And we don't have 3. And there are like special abilities and stuff that can make your fan bigger, or you can send some cards to the back. Things like that to add more cards to your hand, but we didn't get any of those either. So this is just going to be a fail. There's nothing I can do to improve my position right now. And so since I fail, I have to take 1 damage. And the way that you take damage is, you can see I have some of my health cards in my hand. So if you have health cards in your hand, when you take damage, you have to downgrade one of those. You basically take the damage on that. And if I didn't have any health in my hand, I would have to start flipping cards through my deck until I finally found a health card and then downgrade that. And what that does is that gets you through the level faster, and you have fewer opportunities to have encounters to level up your cards. So it's unfortunate that this worked out, but sometimes, and maybe we'll get lucky here, sometimes when you downgrade cards, they get better. So like this Untapped Rage here, which was one of the cards she started with, this is going to flip down, and yeah, we see that this actually, even though we downgraded it, now it's going to add a sword to our deck. So it actually kind of made it better. And then if we were to downgrade this one again, it's going to add 2 swords, but if this is in an encounter, you see it has similar damage symbols to what the skeleton has. If this were in an encounter that we lost, this would be 2 extra damage we would have to take in addition to whatever the enemy is giving us. So you do have to be careful with that. But we are downgrading this to Blood Rage, and so that actually, it makes our deck a little bit better, and then everything just gets sent to the back. And so it's kind of nice. We still have the skeleton to beat up later. Maybe we'll get him next time. But we didn't get him this time. Okay, this Etten looks terrifying. Needs 6 symbols, and if we fail, you take 3 damage, but thankfully he's level 3, so we can ignore him. And you just kind of keep flipping through. Like I said, it's nothing complicated. All right, now we come up across a level 1 zombie. So we do have to encounter it. We could choose to fight or flee, and I'm going to tell you now, I pretty much never flee. It's just how I play these kind of games. Risk reward, I'm pretty much just always all about the risk. And I feel like I should be able to beat this guy, especially with how bad our last hand was. Maybe we've got better cards in the next one. So we're going to fan out 5 cards, and we're going to say we're fighting, and oh, this is looking very bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my goodness. This was a terrible idea. Because you see, we also have these 2. Now the good news is, any obstacle in your fan that is higher than your current level, you can just ignore, similar to how you ignore it down the hallway. So we're going to send that to the back. It gets cellared. And then you just add the next card. And then he's too high, so we're going to send him to the back. And draw the next one. But that is also level 1. So we are stuck with these 2 zombies. These 3 basically run into a pack of zombies. And we're going to be taking 1, so this is his fail condition, but because these are in the fan as well, that's going to be 2 more damage we're going to take if we don't satisfy this. We need 4 swords, piety, or magic, some combination of that, and the only thing we have is 1 sword. Now we do have a +1, that means we get to have 1 +1 hand size to our fan, so we'll actually get to add the next card. So now we have 6 cards, but 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. But unfortunately, we only have 2 swords, and we needed 4 symbols. So that is another fail. This is a really rocky start. And we take 1 damage here. Now this one doesn't count. It would count if he was in the fan. This is his damage plus 2 more. So we're taking 3 total damage. So we have to downgrade our health first. So we're turning the other Rage into Blood Rage, and then we're turning Tough into Determined. So thankfully, when you downgrade these the first time, you know, the Rage and Blood Rage actually gets better, but I still am going to have that health in my deck. And then I have to take 1 more damage. And so what I have to do is I have to cellar all this, and then I have to start looking for more health cards. Thankfully, there's one right on top. So we're just going to downgrade that. And so far, we have done nothing but make our deck worse. And then we just start trucking down the hallway again, just beat up, battered. We are doing a terrible job of rescuing ourselves. Unfortunately, we don't get to do the treasure. A lot of times when you defeat obstacles, it tells you to go looking for treasure, and you just start flipping cards, and then the first treasure you find, you get to flip over, and they're really powerful. So it's super nice when you can defeat things, but I'm doing a very terrible job of defeating anything. All right, so it's a level 2. We can ignore it. Okay. Surely, 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 we can defeat this level 1 goblin. We've already seen so many other enemies that there can't be that many left in the deck. So hopefully we're only going to fan out 5 good cards. So we are gonna try here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah. Anytime you hit the rest card as part of your fan, it automatically ends the encounter and you're done. And you know what? Actually, well, maybe I could have won this one. We had 2 swords, and then that diamond symbol is called Distract. That lets you celler any other card. So I could have cellared this thief to add another card to my hand, because you always get at least 5. And maybe that card would have helped. But it doesn't matter because we ran into the rest card. So that ends the encounter. These go to the back. And that was the end of level 1, and we accomplished nothing. So that's not good. So now we're going to rotate this up. So now we're going to be on level 2. We have to encounter everything of level 2 or lower. I should say except zeros. You can always choose to ignore zeros. Now we just shuffle up. So it's in a different order than last time, but now some of our cards are rotated, flipped, changed, usually for the better, but not this time. I'm guessing it's because the construction of the deck was such, because I played a harder villain, that there were quite a few level 1 obstacles. I'm not quite sure why it was so hard, or maybe just a lot of bad shuffling on my part, but we're gonna just kind of shuffle. Okay, we're gonna stop right there. So the rest cards go to the bottom, and now we're gonna be working our way through level 2, and we just keep going, except for now we're gonna have to encounter the harder enemies no matter what. And I should be paying attention. Oh, good. We run into our Maiden. I was gonna say I should be paying attention to if I have any haste symbols or not, if I do want to try to run away from some of these. I don't think I have too many hastes, but we're going to encounter Maiden. So we're going to fan out 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, well, there goes 2 easy things we probably could have encountered. She is going to let us upgrade a sword card. So we're going to upgrade the dagger into the magic dagger. It gets quite a bit better. It goes from 1 sword to 2 swords and a cunning symbol. And it's unfortunate seeing our unicorn there. That's not helpful. We would like to see that in an encounter with an enemy, because that unicorn symbol is wild. It's super helpful. But that's just how it goes with this game. It's pretty random. You know, there's not a ton of strategy to it. You know, which cards you choose to upgrade, there's a little bit of strategy there. But it's mostly just fun to play. It doesn't take long. It's kind of fun to put the decks together and just to see the different combinations. So just flipping through. There's the big bad boss. We don't have to encounter him yet, but too much longer and we will have to. There goes our dress again, darn it. We're seeing all our good cards go by with nothing to fight. I see something coming up. Okay, all right, zombie. It's zombie revenge time. We're gonna take this zombie out this time. I'm gonna fan out 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, come on. Now, the good news is we can get rid of this Etten because it's level higher than us, so we can cellar that. And then that's going to let us add the Vorpal Blade to our hand. Yes! Now we're stuck with the Orc because we're level 2 and he's level 2. So he's here to help fight with the zombie. Those are called adds. Anything basically that's bad in your hand that helps the obstacle you're fighting is called an add. Now we need 4 symbols of sword, sun, or magic. And the Vorpal Blade here by itself gives us 3. So how awesome is that? And then we have a 4th with the Dirk, and we have the sun here as well. So we crush this zombie. So that's really cool. And I will just show you, if we did have to take any damage, you see this shield symbol here. This actually would have blocked the damage and we wouldn't have lost anything. So any shields in your hand reduce the total amount of damage you take. Now we still would have actually taken 1 more because of the Orc there. But shields reduce the damage, so that's pretty cool. So we defeat the zombie. So he flips over. He goes into our deck, and he'll actually be a useful item now that's going to add another sword. And our reward is he's going to let us upgrade a card, and we can upgrade any card in our hand. Now, one thing it's important to note, you can only upgrade or downgrade each card in your hand once during the fight. Sometimes cards will make you upgrade or downgrade during the fight, and then once as a reward. So if I were getting 2 upgrades here, for example, and I had a card that had been downgraded a couple times, I couldn't upgrade that same card twice during the rewards phase. So we get a free upgrade. And so we have a few options here because you can always upgrade the saviors. One nice thing about these is they're always targets for upgrades, but they can also always suffer downgrades. So they sort of flip back and forth. So they're nice in that way. So I could upgrade one of these. If we upgrade Michael the Knight here, he becomes more helpful in that he gives us 3 shields, but every time he's in our fan, he would require us to downgrade a card with the fox symbol. So like I said, these saviors are sort of helpful and they're sort of bumbling idiots at the same time. If we were to upgrade Minister Samuel here, he would give us a sun, and this Oracle lets us look at the next 5 cards after our fan, and we can sell or any of those that we want, so we can sort of set up our next experience. But if he's Everender's fan, he's going to force us to downgrade a sword card. So I don't really like the idea of either of those. So we're probably just, oh yeah, look how much better the Dirk gets. We're going to upgrade Dirk to Ben the Rat. So not quite sure how that works, but... So, and now, you know, next time we encounter this zombie, it's actually going to be helpful to us instead of another monster. That goes to the back. We finally got our first win. Feeling good about that. Moving on. Still not ready for the Evil Knight. Undead Orc. So he's going to take 4 symbols. Pretty much the same as the zombie, but a lot more damage if we fail. But I'm feeling chuffed. I'm feeling cheeky after that win. And like I said, I pretty much just always fight because it's how I like to play this game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got our 5 cards here. We're stuck with the Goblin because it's the same level as us. We can sell her the Butler because it's a higher level. So that's going to get us back up to 5 cards. Now we see that we have the Murphin Clutch here, which gives us +1 to our hand size. So that's just going to add another zombie, so that wasn't helpful. I'm not 100% sure if that's optional or not. I would have known that zombie was there, so I wouldn't do it if I have the choice. It's probably optional, but we're just going to roll with it. So this is just awful. Wow, this is tough. I definitely should have picked an easier villain to show the game off because I'm about to take a ton of damage. Because I've only got 2 of the symbols, I needed 4. And I have all this extra damage coming on. I'm taking 4 damage here. So that's horrendous. So we have to damage our health cards when possible. So we're flipping that to cornered. We're flipping Mage Blood to Blood Magic. So that does give us an extra magic symbol, which is nice. But we still have 2 more damage to resolve. So now we just got to close up our deck. All right, so I still have 2 more damage to take. So I just got to keep flipping cards till I find it. And even though I hit these rest cards, I just got to keep going. Shields don't help me now. So there's 1 heart that I can rotate down. So we've changed Devout to Hope. And we're just going to keep looking. We need to find 1 more heart. If we can't find 1 more heart, we actually lose the game. Okay, there's our Fairy Wings. We're going to rotate that down to Shredded Wings. So it's a good thing for us that a lot of the cards actually get a little bit better when they take damage. Now, since we passed the rest card while we were taking damage, we actually do have to progress the level. If you pass the rest card while you're looking for a treasure card, and you manage to find a treasure after you pass this, you actually get to restart the level on the same floor, which is awesome. But that does not happen when you're taking damage. So we're moving on to level 3. We've gained very little ground. And now, if we encounter our captor, we are going to have to fight them. I'm actually going to take a quick spin. Do we have any haste symbols? I don't remember seeing a single one. And that's probably fitting for the Maiden we got. She's very all about fighting. Yeah, we have like 1 or 2 unicorns and no hastes to speak of. So pretty much going to have to fight, or you could always flee and then just suffer the downgrade. That's probably better than taking 4 damage like I just did. I also need to separate. I apparently have all my obstacles clumped together and they keep showing up in hands together. So I'm really going to try to give this a really, really good shuffle. It would be nice if they stopped showing up in packs. All right, we're going to call that good. So starting level 3 with our unicorn. All of our broken cards. Come on, give me something easy and actually let me kill it. Oh, we got another crack at this undead orc. Well, we either got to fight or flee. We know fleeing's pretty much useless. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking for 4 symbols of sword, magic, or sun. We've got 1, 2, 3 swords. And that their dragon symbol, which is charisma. He does not care about our charisma. He just wants to fight or magic or like holy power. And we didn't get that. So we are having 1, 2, 3 damage come at us. This is crazy. I've never had this hard of a game. What thing's kind of neat is you could just, so assuming I lose this game, and that's looking real likely, You know, you can just shuffle up this deck and try again. You know, the cards are going to come out in a different order. You might get a very different experience. You don't necessarily have to go to all the trouble of rebuilding the deck. You could, or you can just shuffle up and try again. And so we're taking 1, 2, 3 damage. The shield blocks 1. This charisma is going to take another one. Oh, and there's nothing on the back, so this is just gone. And as far as I know, there's no way to get this card back. So this is just going to be useless for the rest of the game. Thankfully, this thief didn't make things any harder anyway. And we still got to go find 1 more damage. So hopefully we don't pass anything useful. Okay, so our shredded wings are going down to Aloft by Will. And they're going to add another damage into any encounter we lose. So apparently I'm playing this game on the absolute hardest difficulty. So I am just getting roasted. Okay, there's Gwendolyn. So we can fan out 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She is going to upgrade a sword for us. All right, I just had to quickly check the rules. I didn't know if we were allowed to cellar this guy to try to get something better into our hand or not. It doesn't appear that you can cellar things during your encounter with a maiden, though it did say you can cellar gray cards, but I don't know if this counts as gray. I think it's just meaning the cards that are like lost. So I think this is what we're stuck with. I could upgrade a sword card. There are no sword cards to upgrade. The good news is we're not going to have to fight King Shawl this round because he was in this hand. But, so that was not helpful. Hey, our Vorpal Blade. That was cool one time. Oh boy. All right, well, now we're up against the Etten. We're going to need 6 symbols. And I just feel like it must be coming. There must be this epic moment where we actually get a big win and it's going to turn everything around. Is it going to be against this 2-headed monster? We're going to find out. So we're going to fan out 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, they almost all looked good. We've got a lot going on here. So he needs 6 of the melee and cunning symbols. Well, we have 1, 2, 3 of the melee. We don't have any of the cunning, so we're very shy. But we do have this diamond symbol, which I know I said it once, but I already forget what it's called. Distract. That will let us cellar 1 card from our hand. So we're going to go ahead and cellar this skeleton. Normally we would be stuck with it because it's a lower level than us. But we get to add the evening attire to our hand instead. And so, okay, things are getting better. We have a unicorn. So that's basically a 4th useful symbol. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We've already used this, so we need to remember we can't use it again. This dragon symbol isn't helpful, but it does say we get 2 more cards in our hand. So our fan size is now 7. So we're going to add the goblin. Well, that's not helpful. And the Murphin Clutch. Okay, we're going to move this goblin out of the way. I'm getting excited. I think we might have what we need here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 6 useful symbols. We have another +1 to our hand size. So we're adding the twice dead corpse, the zombie that was killed. So it has been killed twice. And that is going to get us our 6th symbol. Are you kidding me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 swords and a unicorn is enough to defeat the Etten, and it's a darn good thing we're going to take 3 damage. I'm not certain we have 3 health left in our deck. So we defeat the Etten, we get to flip it over, and what do we get? He's going to become an item with 2 swords, and he becomes our Etten friend, or friends, and we get to upgrade a card right now. Oh, that was so clutch. That was awesome. The Murphin Clutch came in so clutch. And I think we're actually going to... Oh, we could upgrade the War Sensor to the Incensed Sensor, and that would get us a haste symbol. I don't know if we need all that sun, though. I'm going all in on card draw. We're going to upgrade the Murphin Clutch to the Pearled Clutch. It's going to give us a +2 hand size in the future, hopefully. And that is going to be that. Whew! So, there we go. I don't know if I'm going to win the game, but that felt pretty momentous. So we're going to start digging again. Oh, okay, we finally come across our first level 0. And so you can always ignore level 0s because they're pretty much always doors. And the way this works is if you find a key symbol, which there aren't very many keys on the cards, but unicorns work also because they're wild. You get to flip it over, and it's usually something pretty darn good, but it's risky because if we fail, we have to downgrade 2 cards. I'm like 99.9% certain we've already seen all of our unicorns, and I don't remember ever seeing a key. So I think it's highly unlikely that we would be able to complete this. So I'm not even going to risk it. We're just going to send it to the back. And now if in the next 5 cards we see a key or a unicorn, I'm going to be pretty sad. So we're just going to keep going. Oh, instead we're going to bump into an orc. I feel like we've lost to this orc twice. Now is the time for revenge. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, not again. Oh, we had him beat too. We easily had him beat. But we got to the end of the level. We're out of time. We don't suffer any penalties, but that would have been such an easy win. Ah, that stinks. All right, so we're going to 3B. We are really running out of time here. Now on the sort of normal difficulty, you don't ever lose just because like when you get to level 4, you can just keep playing level 4 over and over again. The idea being that you're just trying to find your captor and kill him. So either that's going to happen or you're eventually going to run out of life and lose. You can choose to add various things to make the game harder, and one of them is you only get one trip through level 4. I'm just going to play, if we even get that far, level 4 over and over again to either try to defeat the captor, because you've seen how random it can be. If the captor keeps ending up in a hand with other cards, you know, you just never get to fight him. So that is kind of a mild criticism of the game. You're trying to kill your captor, and it's entirely possible that they'll just keep showing up in your fan when you encounter your Maiden or other monsters. So it can be a little random in that way, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, we're going to try here. And so we're already going to see our friend the zombie go by. These saviors have all been useless. Okay, thankfully we're not on level 4. I kind of tempted to take this guy on, but he needs dragons and foxes, and I feel like we definitely aren't overly abundant in those. We're more sword and maybe magic oriented. So I don't want to risk the 3 downgrades. So because we don't have to fight him, I'm not going to. And then now watch, the next 5 cards are going to be awesome for him. There goes Ben the Rat. Oh, our good clutch. Oh, so many good cards, but most of them are swords, so I don't think they would have been helpful. Hopefully we get to do a treasure at some point. That would be cool. Oh, that's the first time I've noticed this one. The Great Axe, 2 axes goes up to 3 sword, or 2 swords goes up to 3 swords. That's awesome. All right, where's all our encounters? They're all going to be clumped together again, aren't they? We're seeing all the good. Oh, seriously, are all the enemies just going to be clumped together into packs? This is not looking good at all. What is happening right now? There goes our Vulpal Blade. Ah, the Evil Knight. We finally bump into him. I feel like there's just going to be 5 enemies, right? Am I about to just fan out 5 enemies? You know what? We're going for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is horrendous. What does he need? 5 swords and dragons. And we got some useless cards here. Well, the good news is we can, I don't think we can sell her this, but all right, a quick scan of the rules. You can sell her undiscovered treasures and lost cards, so those are gone. So I get to add 2 more cards, though one of them's not going to be helpful, and neither is the other. Yep, all the enemies clumped together so nicely. Well, this might be the end, my friends. I think this guy is going to kill us because we're not even close to defeating him. I can't add any more cards. We're going to take 2 damage in a downgrade, so we're going to have to downgrade the magic dagger back down to the regular dagger. It has lost its magic. That is a sad, sad thing. And then we still have 2 damage, or 3 damage to take. Don't forget the zombie there. So 3 more damage. I got to start digging for damage. So the blood magic is going down to the trapped soul. We need 2 more hearts. And if we cannot find them, we are just dead. Okay, determined becomes a broken heart. Oh, that's just sad. And do we have 1 more? Do we still have 1 heart? Okay, we do. We do. We're okay. Pious becomes devout. So we can get to keep going. Undead orc. All right. Okay. I'm getting real sick of seeing this undead orc. He's going down. Here we go. No! Every time he is parked at the bottom of the deck, and I promise you, I'm shuffling the heck out of this deck every time. He is always, he's guarding the exit. That's what he's doing. He's guarding the exit. So that's, okay, well, we're going to, oh, 3C. I was thinking that was it. All right, I am going to shuffle this deck like it's never been shuffled in its life. I'm going to get all of these enemies apart from each other. We've got 1 more turn on level 3. I haven't given up hope. We have barely any health left in the deck. We take another big hit like what we just did. That might do it. But I'll tell you what, it's exciting every time. It is fun. It's fun fanning out those 5 cards to see if you're going to have the symbols or not. I know there's not a ton of strategy, not a ton of hardcore thinking here. It's pretty lucky, pretty random, but it's just a fun, oh boy, I just dropped a bunch of cards. Well, one of them was our Etten, and I know we killed him. It's just fun flipping the cards and seeing what happens. I really like this game. All right, I have shuffled this so well. Here we go. All right, last round on level 3. Let's make it happen. We have to kill at least one monster on this level. And if we bump into the captor, we're gonna have to fight him and just, you know, go all out. I don't have any reasonable hope to think we're gonna have what it's gonna take to kill him, but I would do, well, I guess we're gonna find out. I was just gonna say, it would be funny if we did, because the game has gone so badly and then we just get really lucky and defeat him. I guess we'll find out. Well, the first thing we have to do, because we have to encounter him, well, we'll go ahead and fan out our cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now we have to flip him over because he's got a special ability here. And he tells us that he's going to defeat all adds in your fan without gaining rewards. So he's actually going to defeat this thief for us, which is nice. And we'll get these symbols, but we won't get the upgrade, and this would have been a treasure for us, which how awesome would that have been? But, so I guess that's kind of helpful. I think maybe he's like so disgusted with his minions that he's just killing them themselves, or he's taking away your opportunity to kill. I'm not sure what the theme is there. But either way, so we've taken care of that. Now we can start looking at anything we can sell her, our special abilities. So we can sell her this because it's gone. Oh, and that is going to bring in our Maiden versus the boss. How cool is that that worked out that way? And so she also has a special ability. And it says that when in a fan, I get to sell her all adds. Well, so any cards basically that were useless, any lower level enemies that end up in our hand, I can sell her those automatically where you wouldn't normally be able to. So I'm getting +1 hand size from the defeated thief and +2 from the pearled clutch. So I get to add 3 more cards to my hand. So we get charisma, a dagger, and a skeleton. Okay. Now, normally I would be stuck with that skeleton, but because I'm playing Gwendolyn, I get to sell her all adds. Skeleton goes away. And we get our dress. What is this? We're getting all the cool stuff at just the right time. So we're getting +2 more hand size. So we're getting cornered 2 swords. Let's go. And the halberd with the distract symbol. So if we wanted to sell her anything else, we'd be able to. Okay, let's start adding things up. So we need a dragon plus any 10. And that any 10 includes pretty much everything except for, like, it doesn't include the special ability symbol or the upgrade, downgrade. It doesn't include shields or hearts, but it includes pretty much everything else. So we need 1 of the dragons. So we've got our dragon there, the charisma. So we'll set that in the back. So we got that. And then we need any 10 other symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Are you kidding me? After all that nonsense, after all the tragedy and trauma, we actually managed to win when it mattered most. We have defeated King Shaw. We had everything we needed, and we did it with our Maiden and our dress in our hand. That's got to be the coolest thing that could possibly happen in this game. That was awesome. So that was Maiden's Quest. Sorry I made it look so awesome, and you might not be able to get it. No, I don't know if I made it look awesome. Obviously, it was very random. We had a ton of bad luck, only to then get very, very lucky and win. But I'll tell you, it was fun. I had a really good time with that. It's just a really fun game. Sometimes they aren't quite that exciting or momentous, but it worked out that time. So obviously, this is something a little bit different for me. I typically only play Marvel Champions, but I just really like this game, wanted to show it off. And I have been kind of thinking about playing some more games. A lot of you probably don't know this, but this channel started out as it was going to be a general board and card game channel with a pretty heavy emphasis on Marvel Champions and the Lord of the Rings LCG. And then I just kind of stuck to Champions because it's my favorite game, and I had so much to say and show for that game that I never did anything else. But I would like to play other games occasionally. And I'd be curious to hear from you what you thought of this game, if you'd ever even heard of it. And if you'd be interested in seeing me play other games occasionally, I still definitely want to do the majority of content about Marvel Champions. But if you'd be interested in just me shaking it up every now and then, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time we get up in game. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.